Wait, so the German government actually has a law against dancing? You're kidding, right? I wish I was. Hallo, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. So, Easter is coming up. We're actually in the middle of Holy Week, Osterwoche. Today is Gründonnerstag, Maundy Thursday in English, and I realized that in the 4 years I've had this YouTube channel, I have addressed all kinds of holidays. I've talked about the differences in how Germans and Americans celebrate Christmas. I've talked about German Carnival, about Halloween, about birthday celebrations, but I have never made a video about Easter. So it's definitely time to change that, which is why in this video I'll share everything you need to know about Easter customs in Germany compared to the US. By the way, in case you haven't seen it on my other social media channels yet, I am currently doing a social media Easter egg hunt on all of my platforms, including YouTube of course, but also Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. This goes on through Easter Monday, April 18th, and the way it works is that every day there is one discount code for up to 50% off on my shop, felifromgermany.com, hidden on one of my platforms. This could be in a YouTube story, a video description, a photo I shared on Facebook or Instagram, an Instagram story, TikTok caption, and so on. If you find the code, you can go to felifromgermany.com and get a discount on your entire purchase. Just put in the code at the checkout. Here's a little sneak peek of all the cool products we have. A lot of these would make amazing Easter gifts, by the way. Every code will give you a different discount. It could be anything from 10% up to 50%, and the codes can only be used for a certain number of times. So if you find one, be sure to be quicker than everyone else, because after a certain amount of people have used it, it's not going to be valid anymore. And a little tip, sometimes the Easter egg is closer than you think. Okay, so how is Easter celebrated in Germany versus the US? Overall, I would say that it's celebrated pretty similarly in the two countries, and the differences aren't as extreme as on Christmas, for example, but a few things definitely are different. Like the thing I mentioned in the title, for example. But let's walk through this step by step. As you probably know, a lot of Easter traditions actually go back to a pagan holiday celebrating the beginning of spring. Rabbits and eggs were both symbols for new life, and some scholars say that they were associated with the goddess of spring and fertility, Joster, I think is how she's pronounced. In German, she was called Ostara, which is where the name Easter in English and Ostern in German supposedly derived from. Most other languages actually have names for it that go back to the Jewish celebration of Passover, Pesach, like Pâques in French, Pasqua in Italian, or Påske in Danish. Over time, a lot of these pagan rituals were merged with the Christian celebration of Jesus' resurrection on the third day after being crucified by the Romans, and nowadays, Easter is arguably the most important event of the Christian calendar across all of the different denominations. But even though Easter is technically a Christian holiday, it's also become a cultural holiday that both Christians and non-Christians celebrate. I'm personally not religious, for example, and I've celebrated Easter my whole life, and it's the same in the US. It's a family holiday that is celebrated by about 80% of all people in both Germany and the US. And it's become pretty commercialized too, with lots of candy and colorful decorations. Of course, as per usual, the US takes this a little further than Germany does. The stores here often look like they're on steroids. So what role does religion play on Easter today? I tried to find numbers of how many people go to church on Easter Sunday, and it seems like in both Germany and the US, it's about 30%. However, the numbers actually varied a lot, and most of the surveys I found were conducted by some newspapers, so they weren't very representative. Overall though, for Americans, I found some surveys that said that up to 50 or even 60% of all people go to church on Easter, and for Germans, the other numbers I found tended to be lower. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. I have to say though that I actually expected the difference to be a lot bigger, given that in Germany, religious practices in everyday life have significantly decreased over the last decades. Only about 2% of all Germans regularly go to church, while in the US, over 20% of all people state that they go to church every week, which lines up with my own experience here in the Midwest. Well, I genuinely don't know a single person my age who regularly goes to church in Germany. But then again, Easter is definitely one of those few holidays where those Germans who are baptized and are kind of religious do go to church. That and Christmas usually. So that's probably why the differences aren't as drastic for Easter Sunday. Now let's get to the best part of Easter, the food. In Germany, the most common dish on Easter Sunday is definitely lamb, Osterlamm. Some people also have rabbit, pork, or fish dishes, and it's very common for family to get together for a brunch. In my family, we usually have toast with salmon, bread rolls with all kinds of sweet and savory toppings, like a normal German breakfast, and of course, boiled eggs. In addition to that, sweet pastries like a Hefezopf or Osterstollen are very common. Osterstollen is a little different from Weihnachtsstollen, Christmas Stollen, which I've talked about several times, even though it has the same name. From what I've read, it's actually similar to Easter bread in the US. Other sweet Easter pastries that, according to the internet, are popular in the US are simnel cake, for example, which apparently is British fruitcake with a marzipan topping. I mean, sign me up. Or these hot cross buns. Are those actually a thing here for Easter? If you're American, let me know, and please correct me if I got it wrong. The most popular Easter meal in the US seems to actually be ham rather than lamb that is served together with all kinds of American sides like green beans or casseroles. And of course, in both countries, people eat lots of chocolate and candy over Easter. In Germany, each household consumes about 1.1 kilograms of chocolate during that time, which makes it the highest chocolate consumption of the year, even before Christmas. One thing that I absolutely wasn't familiar with before I came to the US were fish fries, which are social events here in the Midwest and some other regions of the US, I think mostly eastern parts, that take place on Fridays during Lent. So this has to do with the Christian tradition of fasting on Fridays, aka not eating meat, but fish is traditionally allowed. Because of that, churches and restaurants here started offering dinners with fried fish during Lent, the 40 days leading up to Easter, Fastenzeit in German. And of course it had to be fried, I mean it wouldn't be the US otherwise. So today, a lot of restaurants, both local and chain restaurants, have fish fries on Fridays, which can simply mean that they have fried fish on the menu, maybe with a special deal, or they actually have a whole event for it. Sometimes you'll see fish fries where people gather outside, like for a barbecue or a tailgating event, with a fish fry stand and even live music and other entertainment. Americans here talk about these fish fries so naturally that most of them were very surprised when I asked what that was at first, and when I told them that that's not a thing in Germany. At least I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, the whole eating fish on Fridays is definitely a thing, of course, but I think in Germany, people usually eat fish fillet with potatoes or fish soup rather than frying the fish. Many Germans also use the Fastenzeit to refrain from particular foods like candy, alcohol, or meat in general, which I think is a thing in the US as well. Also, fun fact, the Filet-O-Fish at McDonald's was apparently added to the menu because one McDonald's in a heavily Catholic neighborhood here in Cincinnati struggled selling regular burgers on Fridays during Lent. So the franchise owner, Lou Grown, came up with the idea to sell a fish sandwich, and McDonald's ended up picking it up as a permanent item on the menu. What would Easter be without all of the little rituals and traditions? Most Easter traditions are actually pretty similar in Germany and the US. People color hard-boiled eggs, kids make Easter-themed crafts in school, and of course they get to go on an Easter egg hunt for candy, chocolate eggs, chocolate bunnies, and sometimes other little gifts like toys that the Easter bunny, der Osterhase, brought them and hid in the house or the yard. Fun fact, it's commonly believed that the tradition of the Easter bunny originated in Germany in the Middle Ages and was then brought over to the US by settlers in the 18th century. It didn't become a prevalent tradition in either country until the 19th century though. The German term Osterhase technically translates to Easter hare, but in English it's mostly referred to as Easter bunny, which makes it a rabbit, Kaninchen, rather than a bigger hare, Hase. In Germany, it's also common to have a Osterfeuer, an Easter bonfire, on the night of Holy Saturday, Kar-Samstag, where people stack up really high piles of wood and branches and then gather around with food and drinks. This is particularly common in rural areas and sometimes even leads to competitions over which village has the highest Easter fire. Other traditions in Germany include Palmkätzchen branches as decorations, which originally was supposed to replace palm branches on Palm Sunday, and in my family it's also a tradition to play a Bavarian game called Ohrscheim on Easter. It's a lot of fun. Everyone picks a colored boiled egg that they will remember and rolls it down a ramp made of broomsticks or something like that. Once it's come to a halt, you put a coin on top of it and it stays there until it's your turn to roll it again. Everyone gets the same amount of coins at the beginning. Now every time you roll your egg down the ramp, you want it to hit the other eggs that are laying down there and knock off their coins, because you'll get to collect the coins that fall off, and the other people that were hit have to put a new coin on their egg until they don't have any coins left. The person with the most coins wins. So if you're looking for a funny Easter activity this year, give it a try. Now, some US-specific Easter traditions include the Easter egg roll at the White House and the big parade in New York. Every Easter Monday, the President of the United States and the First Lady host an Easter egg roll for children on the White House lawn. The goal is to roll your hard-boiled egg to the finish line the fastest without cracking it. To participate, kids can enroll in a lottery every year, and then the winners get randomly selected, and every participant gets a wooden egg as a keepsake from the White House. This year is actually the first time since 2019 that the Easter egg roll is taking place again. And of course, it wouldn't be a holiday in the US if there wasn't a big parade. There are Easter parades all over the country, but the biggest and most famous one is the one on Fifth Avenue in New York City on Easter Sunday. The parade used to be closely associated with the religious aspect of Easter, but by the mid-20th century, it had mainly become a big cultural event where people showed off their impressive costumes, and that's still pretty much what it's like today. Everyone gets to participate, and people dress up in all kinds of colorful costumes and wear these crazy over-the-top hats, especially bonnets. Now let's get to Germany's all-time favorite topic, bureaucracy. Unlike in Germany, federal holidays in the US aren't usually religious holidays, based on the separation of church and state, with the exception of Christmas. They didn't make that same exception for Easter though, which is why in most parts of the US, none of the Easter days are actual public holidays. Only 12 out of 50 states recognize Good Friday as a public holiday. But since holidays here are handled a little differently than in Germany, and companies and schools often get to choose when they take off, Catholic schools and some companies do stay closed on Good Friday anyway, and some schools include Easter in their 1-week-long spring break. In Germany, on the other hand, both Good Friday and Easter Monday are federal holidays, which means that schools, offices, as well as stores stay closed. Easter Sunday isn't explicitly labeled a holiday because in Germany, Sundays are treated like holidays anyway. Stores are always closed on that day. And in all 16 German states, Bundesländer, kids have a 1 to 3 week long school break over the Easter holidays. In Bavaria, we always had 2 weeks off. Now, in addition to that, we have a really weird law in Germany that, drum roll, bans dancing on Good Friday. Yep, you heard right. We have a dancing ban in Germany. Some of you are probably gonna think, oh, Germans are banning fun? That sounds about right. The legislation is called Tanzverbot in German. It's handled differently in every state, and it's something that not only applies to Good Friday, but also to other so-called silent public holidays, stille Feiertage, such as All Saints' Day, All Souls' Day, or Memorial Day, mostly days that commemorate the dead. All 16 states do have a dancing ban in place for Good Friday, which means that clubs and bars aren't allowed to open their dance floors that day. And in Bavaria, for example, all kinds of musical performances in restaurants and bars are banned as well. The ban even starts on Maundy Thursday in Bavaria, so today, and stays in place until the night of Holy Saturday. In other states, the ban only lasts for a few hours on Good Friday, like in Berlin, where it's only in place from 4 a.m. till 9 p.m. Besides dancing, the ban also applies to sporting events and even the screening of certain movies, such as Ghostbusters or Life of Brian, for example. The list includes over 700 movies. It doesn't apply to private events, however, so you are still allowed to have a party at your home. There have been a lot of efforts to lighten or even lift this ban in Germany because a lot of people think it's outdated, but as of right now, it's still something that we have to deal with in Germany. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. I feel like this is something that just wouldn't work in the US at all. And of course, let me and everyone else know how you celebrate Easter. I'm sure there's a lot more to add to what I said in this video, so if I forgot to mention a tradition or certain meals, just put it in the comments. By the way, if you're interested in hearing more about all the holidays we celebrate in Germany throughout the year, check out this video where I summarized the whole German holiday calendar for you. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I wish you and your family an amazing Easter weekend. Don't forget about the Easter egg hunt for the discount codes that will give you up to 50% off on all of my products on felifromgermany.com, including the Bavarian beer mugs, the Servus hoodies, or the keychain bottle openers. So be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. And of course, make sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. So good luck, frohe Ostern, and I hope I'll see you next time. Tschüss!